Welcome, Central Indiana sports fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for another edition of Greg versus Will versus the world, still in the beta stage.
For sure.
Right now, it's just going to be Greg versus Will. Eventually, we'll have a poll that people can go and vote, and it'll be worth extra points if we defeat the other person and the world in the poll. So, for now, just Greg versus Will, but we're going to still continue to call it Greg versus Will versus the world. We've had one episode, and Will is ahead 1-0 because Tennessee beat Miami in the NCAA tournament, which breaks my heart. What a horrible tournament.
I didn't even watch the national championship. In all transparency, I didn't.
If you love Cinderellas, and that is the great thing about the NCAA tournament compared to other sporting events, is you get a lot of surprises. This wasn't for you the last 2 years, and of course the transfer portal is the reason.
It's not going to be, because those teams that were always really gritty, you got 2 years of, mainly 3 juniors and a couple sophomores, or you had 3 seniors and 2 juniors, and you were able to maybe get to the Sweet 16, and then the next year it's like, well, we can win our conference again, and we have now played in March, and we know what it's like, and we're acclimated to the pressure in a way. You're not going to see that level of honesty and dedication to one particular program, because you're just following wherever the money's the best, where that next coach goes. Yeah. It's just, is the basketball better? I don't know.
It was good basketball, I'll say that.
I mean, the margin of victory from the Elite Eight on was like 14 points, which is not great. Like, those aren't
high level of basketball. Probably the highest we've seen in a long time. But they've got to get this fixed. I'm a Purdue fan, and I'm fine with what Purdue is doing, so I continue to follow it. But if Purdue was doing this too, I don't know if I'd be interested anymore.
Well,
it's just not fun.
Painter he's basically said, we're not going to be portal hunters. That's not how we're going to build our roster. That's not how we're going to build our program. And I respect that, because it is different than the rest of the NCAA. I mean, he's going against the grain in a way that I think benefits the fans and the viewership that is able to connect with these players. I mean, you had Fletcher Lawyer, you had Braden Smith, who were 4-year starters at Purdue, and you really got to rally behind them as a fan base. I don't particularly like Purdue. That's been said multiple times on various platforms of the Central Indiana Sports Report, but you can respect what they're doing.
Yes.
And that Michigan, it's awesome. Great for Dusty May. He almost got there with Florida Atlantic. They were a great team, but it just doesn't have that same staying power that it should. It feels like it should.
Agree 100%. And I think they're going to need to fix it eventually, or people are just going to only show up for the tournament.
Well, you're going to get these programs that your mid-majors are never going to stay consistent. Gonzaga and St. Mary, that's an anomaly. That's not the status quo, where you've got these mid-major teams that are just great every single year, and the turnover is just going to get even bigger.
Used to have a
year
bunch.
in, year out. And I'm not to say that the mid-majors didn't have a lot of turnover. Sorry, I don't expect Iona to make the tournament every year. That's just not the way that it works.
If they have a good player, they move up to the big conferences.
Yeah, the MAAC doesn't have some powerhouse, neither does the MAC. I don't know, Greg. I just think that we're at this point where college sports in general need to reevaluate what they want to be in the future.
All the money will go away if people are disinterested. And they're not now, but give it time, and this is unsustainable. All right, 4 points are on the line right now, Will. Who will win their next IndyCar race? I have Alexander Rossi. You have Mick Schumacher. Will the Pacers get a top 4 pick? You say no. I say yes. Alex Palou or the field this year for the IndyCar Championship. You have Palou. I have the field. You're going to win that one. And who's going to win the NL Central? Will has the Brewers. Greg has the Reds. They're tied for first right now. And we're going to talk a little NL Central coming up here. Talk some about Will's Cardinals. Just want to let everybody know how this is being scored. If a question has 2 options, it'll be worth 1 point. If it's a yes, no, this team or that team, 1 point. If there are more than 2 options, then it's worth 3 points. And if there are against the whole field like there is in one of these, it's worth 3 points. If you want, we can also wager which of the two of the guys we pick finishes higher. So the first question, Will, worth 3 points is, who's going to win the Masters?
Well, Greg, I took Scotty Scheffler. He's a 2-time champion, and there's been a lot of discussion that the iron play's not been awesome or that the birth of his second child, he's been a little disinterested in golf. And I feel like whenever we have this conversation, whether Scotty Scheffler is interested in golf or not, he comes out and basically just shows the world it doesn't matter if he cares because he's that much better than everybody else.
He is the mentally toughest guy out there.
Not only that, he's also the best course manager. He's the best ball striker. He is the best chipper. He's one of the better putters. Like, everybody is talking about, oh, the irons aren't there. If he just figures the irons out 75%, it's going to be plenty good enough to win, I think. I think that he's that good against the field, and that's not to say that Jon Rahm or DeChambeau or Aberg are not worthy opponents. That's not to say Rory McIlroy is not a worthy opponent up to this point, but when Scotty Scheffler decides he wants to be the best golfer in the world, he pretty much wins every tournament that he wants to. And I think sometimes, I know that everybody's going to say, oh, the competitor in him, I don't know. If he's even close on Sunday, I don't think there's a chance because these course conditions, it's going to be super dry. It's the first Masters in 10 years. There's not been any rain/weather event for the entire duration of the week. So it's going to be dry. And at Augusta, that is very advantageous to great ball strikers. That's why I think Scotty Scheffler is going to win.
Great pick. Jon Rahm is going to be my pick. I picked him this morning before it began. I just looked at the scoreboard. He's already +3, so I'm a little worried about it. I love Jon Rahm. We know he can win the Masters. He's won it. He won it in 2023. And when his games is on, there's nobody better. He just finished second in South Africa and won in Hong Kong in early March, and he's playing well. By the way, last 6 events, he's finished in the top 5 in the LIV, which is clearly not as competitive as the PGA Tour with the depth, but still playing very well. And the truth is, I just really like him, and I want to pick him.
Well, I don't think it's a bad pick. Obviously, in hindsight, it sucks that he's already, 8 shots behind the leader on Thursday. But when I was kind of doing some research as to who I felt like I wanted to roll with, one thing that stood out to me with Jon Rahm was the fact that Augusta was really wet when he won. And he was really able to be really aggressive into greens. And that's not how I saw this course playing out this year. I don't know. I think that he is probably just a little below the competitive nature of these PGA golfers up to this point because LIV. Now, we can have the conversation, LIV, PGA, whatever you want to do. The top end of LIV is just as competitive as the PGA. The top golfers in
yes,
LIV
no question,
are just as good.
No doubt.
As the top golfers
but the
in the
depth.
PGA. But it is the depth. It's the fact that in the PGA, the guy that you thought had the 80th best chance to win could come out and win any time.
No question. That's why if the question was anybody against the field, I would take the field.
You have to take the field. But you're talking about 2 guys with championship pedigree. So it's not like we're talking about somebody that has not been there before. They've both put green jackets on. They've both done the dinner. They've done all of this. Pomp and circumstance. They've been there, done that. We'll see. It's obviously Thursday. A lot can happen. I do like where Scotty's at. He's 3 under in the top 10. We'll see.
Yeah, 7 shots ahead of Jon Rahm right now. He is capable of making that up, but as we've seen at the Masters, you usually know on Thursday whether a guy has it or not, and I'm in big trouble at this point.
I think it doesn't come down to just as much of whether the guy has it, because he can obviously have a great charge on Saturday and Sunday. I think it just comes down to where he's at in terms of the rest of the field. Like,
it could.
If he was even, 5 shots is pretty easy to make up. 8's a lot. Eight's a lot to come back from.
He needs to have a better round the rest of Thursday for sure. All right, question number 2, and I'm going to start on this one. Will I assume that the Heat are not going to make the playoffs? So that means that 4 of these 5 teams are going to. the Hawks, Magic, Raptors, 76ers, or Hornets. My question of which of these teams will miss the playoffs, and my answer is the Orlando Magic. They've won 3 straight games heading into tonight's game in Chicago. That might indicate to you that they're playing well, but before that stretch, by the way, against the winning streak against teams that don't care about the regular season anymore, whether they have already made the playoffs or aren't going to make the playoffs. And we know how that goes at the end of an NBA regular season. Before that, they had lost 9 of their previous 11 games. Well, the Magic have a talented roster, but it's a roster that just does not work. I think they're going 0-2 in the play-in. That's my pick. Who's yours?
Well, Greg, I picked the Sixers because I don't trust Joel Embiid ever. I don't trust the process in any way, shape, or form. It's a shame that he has been so injury prone in his career because I think he is an incredible talent.
No question.
But obviously, with the appendicitis news that came out today, he's probably going to miss the rest of the regular season. I mean, they play the Pacers, they play the Bucks. Guess what? You don't show up against the Pacers and they decide they just want to win, they will. That's what the Pacers have done this season.
They're going to have a bottom 3 wrapped up by then.
When they decide, hey, we want to go win a basketball game, we do that, and that's what I love about the Pacers. Still, even when they lose, they decide to win. They decide in spite. I also don't trust Paul George when it matters too. And Greg, of the teams that you posed, the Hornets, when all 5 of their starters play, are 27-5.
Yeah, they're making it.
So they're getting in.
They're getting in. The Hawks are getting in.
So I guess out of that, who do you feel the least comfortable with? I don't like the Sixers at all.
I thought the options were the Magic, 76ers, and Raptors. And I'm going to be honest with you, Will. I think the 76ers might be better without Embiid. I think that's part of the reason I'm like, you know what? Give me Tyrese Maxey playing the leadership role, and they're playing a little faster. They don't have to wait for him coming down the court because he decides he's not going to hustle on a play.
And I think that might be true. Just you're a Tyrese Maxey struggling game away in a play-in game from you're not in it. They're so dependent on his success. If he's not getting 28,
they probably want to finish 7th or 8th, so they only have to win 1.
Yeah.
But I would go with the 76ers if I wasn't going with the Magic. But right now, the Magic are 7th in the East, which means they could easily just play their way in and not even have to worry about the play-in game. They play the Bulls and the Celtics, but again, it's the end of the season. Are the Celtics even going to bother with that game?
I mean, the Magic are only a half a game out.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And then they can make the playoffs straight up, and then I'm risk losing a point here. But, man, I just do not like this team at all. And it's a team that I've been touting for years. Last year, it was one of my picks to surprise, and I love Paolo Banchero, but the pieces just do not fit. And you know what's going to happen, Will?
What?
They're going to blow this whole thing up and trade for Giannis.
You think so?
I do.
Well, I don't know if that's true or not.
Paolo's the best player right now in return that they're going to get for Giannis.
Greg, I know this will probably sound crazy. I don't think I make that move.
I get it.
I think that's a dumb move.
I get it.
So,
but I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to be desperate after this.
Everybody just touts Giannis as this just winning basketball player.
But if you're the Magic right now and you see the Hornets and the Hawks, and the Pacers are coming back next year, and the Celtics, and you're stuck here in the middle, what do? You stay pat?
But does that make them? Does that make them better to beat the Pacers? No. The Hornets in a 7-game series with the Pacers might get a game. There's levels to this.
I'm talking about later down the line. The Hornets are headed toward Pacer land.
It doesn't always work out.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
You're right.
Always
but that's the direction it looks like.
That could be the direction.
The Hawks,
but that
too.
also requires players to take team-friendly deals the way that Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard did. That takes a great leadership and this isn't a Pacers podcast right now, so
hey, it's the Central Indiana Sports Report.
Stay away from it as much as I can. But there's been a lot of selflessness in this Pacers organization that I don't think that you see around the league with the leadership in Rick Carlisle. So we'll pause there. If the Magic trade for Giannis, that's just
it's the move of a desperate franchise, and they would be desperate. I remember when the Pacers were in a place where, hey, let's trade for an older, aging star so we can maybe do something, and that's where Orlando's about to be.
I mean, just trading a 23-year-old that is way more talented than Giannis was at 23 to me.
Oh, come on. Come on. I love Paolo Banchero, but you could see it with Giannis at 23 that he was going to be special. I'm not sure about Paolo.
He's a one-level scorer.
Yeah, and one of the best of all time at that level. All right, well, with just over a week to go in the NHL regular season, the NHL East playoffs are pretty close to set, but one of these teams is going to make the playoffs. It's either going to be the Predators, who currently have 84 points, the Kings 83, the Sharks 81, the Jets 80, the Blues 78. Will, which of those teams is going to make the East playoffs?
Well, Greg, I picked the Kings. I like their schedule a little bit more than the Predators, in all honesty. I don't know. Sometimes UC Saros can just lay an egg, and I know he's played well this year, and it's part of the reason Nashville's in this position right now, but I think this Kings roster, this is probably it for Drew Doughty. It's probably the end of the line for him, and it's definitely going to be the end of the line for Anze Kopitar, who announced he's retiring at the end of the year. I just feel like there's motivation to play at this point for this roster to get in. And the NHL is the league that if you get in, you have a chance.
Oh, yeah.
8 seed has a chance.
Absolutely.
So the Kings have a game in hand. They're a point up right now. They just played. The Kings won in the shootout. There just feels like some momentum in terms of this Kings organization on their side. That's why I went with them.
I think if the Kings got in the playoffs, they'd probably make more noise than the Predators would, but I think it's going to be the Predators. I know that the Kings have 5 games left. The Predators only have 4, but the Predators do have the tiebreaker if they end with the same amount of points. And you got to love the way this young team has been playing.
Yeah.
6-3-1 in their last 10. The goaltending inconsistent throughout the year, but has been really good of late. And as they've got a lot of great scorers and playmakers on that roster, and guys who have been able to do that in the past at least. And I like the Predators. I'm a fan.
And this is the hockey, I guess, purist in me a little bit. The Predators have like 3 players on their entire roster with positive plus minus. Like they don't, I just don't think they belong, if that makes sense. Like their record may suggest that they do. They also don't have a player on their roster that's held a point per game pace at all the entire year. Philip Forsberg, you talked about Ryan O'Reilly, obviously Steven Stamkos. They've got these 3 guys, and Ryan O'Reilly's probably more of a playmaker and more of a distributing center. Forsberg and Stamkos are obviously elite scorers, and that's why they've been given an opportunity to even play for this spot.
Correct. That's why I said I think the Kings have a chance to make more noise if they get into playoff.
If you're the Predators, this is an aging roster. I mean,
it is.
Forsberg, O'Reilly, Stamkos, Yossi are your top 4 scorers. None of them are in the prime of their career at this point. They're kind of
end of their prime.
In the end of prime to twilight area of their career too. So we'll see. Then again, Greg, we kind of talked about all the things that the Predators don't have. The Kings don't really have it either. They'd have nobody close to a point per game pace. I don't know. I feel like Anze Kopitar is too good of a story. Obviously won a Stanley Cup, been the captain in LA for a long time. A city historically not a hockey community at all. And it's not like you've got, some massive following. What they've been able to do in terms of modeling consistency for a long time, they feel worthy of being here. And not to say that the Predators, I think ever since Pekka Rinne retired, the Predators have been searching. And they had kind of UC Saros. They moved off of Rinne for Saros because they said, this is our guy moving forward. He's played Vezina-level goaltending at times and not played it a lot of other times. So this one was a tough one. But I like Darcy Kemper. They've got 19 overtime losses, which feels, once again, like way too many to probably get in the playoffs and earn a spot. But at the same time, we're pulling teeth in this, Pacific division on who's even going to get in.
Are we counting out the Sharks and Jets?
If the Sharks get in, Macklin Celebrini deserves to win the Hart. I can tell you that for sure. Because if he wills this roster to the playoffs in his second year. He to me absolutely deserves the Hart Trophy. I couldn't even imagine how you don't give it to the kid. I am counting them out though. I think they're a year away. I think they have overachieved up to this point in what their organization kind of set out for their 5-year plan. I think that next year was the year they said we're going to be competitive. But, Celebrini scored over 100 points and looks like the next one.
Real quick, how you feeling about the Blackhawks at this stage?
Bedard is an absolute star. I think if he was on a line with players on Celebrini's caliber, it would probably be a different story in terms of his individual production, but that blue line needs some work. They're going to have to go in and figure something out, but they've got a ton of draft capital still left. At some point, the rebuild can only last so long before they have to really kind of be competitive again. But Connor Bedard's, he's going to get the C this summer. And, the next era of this, they're in the exact same spot they were in when Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves were drafted. The exact same spot. Right now, I think 3 years we're talking about a team that is ready to be a top 3 in the Central.
And final by the way, that one was worth 2 points because there were 5 options. This one, there are only 2 options, so it's worth 1 point. Will, solid start for your St. Louis Cardinals with low expectations, at least from you. Will they win at least 82 games this year? 1 point.
They won't. They're not. Their bullpen's too bad. That's not sustainable. Like they're 7-5. They've won 3 series. They have exceeded my expectations. I was fortunate enough to go watch them play in Detroit on Sunday Night Baseball, which was just cold baseball, second coldest baseball game I've ever attended to. But I think that they have the makings to be a competitive baseball team. With that being said, the starting pitching is their 2-pitch to contact. You get into a series against teams like the Royals, teams like the Dodgers, teams like the Brewers, like that pitch to contact doesn't play because it's bats on balls. And this Nationals team they just played a series against, that's a team that they're scoring a ton of runs. A lot of credit goes to their new hitting coach and the new regime in Washington. The Cardinals were able to score because the Nationals pitching is so bad. I just think it's kind of this recipe where it looks good on paper right now, but when you watch the games and we're not seeing a 10 strikeout day throughout the entire staff. I don't love that. There's just too many factors. I think they probably get close. I think they could get to 80 games. I don't see no reason why they couldn't. They're also the Reds, Cubs, and Brewers. The Cubs record is not great right now, but we're 12 games in. It doesn't matter yet. The Cubs record will be good when it matters, and I've said it all year. The Pirates are going to be a tough series against whoever because their pitching is going to be good enough. Their offense is not going to be good. It's
the only series the Reds have lost so far.
But, the Pirates are going to be able to put tough arms on the bump for 3 nights in a row. I'm excited and a little curious to hear why you think they'll win 82 games, but I don't believe in it.
Because they're the freaking Cardinals and they always win 82 games. The answer is, of course they will. Honestly, though, you have to love what you've seen from this team, especially J.J. Weatherholt and Jordan Walker. Those 2 guys are the core of a future that you've got to really love. And they're hitting now, and they're going to be hitting even better in the future. And you said that the rotation isn't great. It's not, but it's solid, and they're going to win a lot of games with and it's deep. They can win with 5 or 6 guys.
And I think all of those points you made are true. They have a sneaky good top 4 between Weatherholt, Herrera, Burleson, and if Walker is your cleanup hitter and he can continue producing at the clip he has early in the year, like that's a good top 4. The problem is their bottom 4 is bad.
True.
And the offensive production, they're playing small ball down there and they're making it work right now.
That was the other thing is they're really getting the job done on the base paths.
Well, not only that, they're going to be awesome defensively. They are going to be a great defensive team. That they're not going to give up cheap runs, that's for sure. Weatherholt and Wynn are both. Weatherholt might win a Gold Glove this year.
Wow.
That's how good he's been at second. Wynn's obviously a platinum glove level shortstop. Burleson's taken a huge step forward.
Weatherholt's a guy I really wanted the Reds to draft.
I love his bat to ball. He's just Greg. He's a gamer. He's just a ball player, and
That's right.
That's not a term I throw around too often. My favorite, former Cardinal Brandon Donovan was a player that I said he's just a ball player, and he does what is required when it is required. If he needs to make a great play, he will. That's what we've seen from Weatherholt is whenever duty calls, he answers. And he's not afraid. He looks the part. He looked competent. He's reached base in all 11 games, 12 games now that he has played in the majors. That's a great start for your table center.
My final word is the Cardinals will be a wild card team.
I would love that because it shouldn't happen, but it would be a lot of fun.
Well, that was a ton of fun. Once we worked out the kinks, I think we really got a good podcast here. Thank you for sticking with us through the end. Thank you for tuning in to the Central Indiana Sports Report. We always appreciate it. Please check out my daily podcast, Greg and his friends talk sports. Love Will on there talking about all kinds of stuff. It's every weekday, about 1 o'clock, sometime between 1 and 3 o'clock. Again, check it out, Greg and his friends talk sports. Thanks again. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love you, Susie.